to the party of Pat Buchanan, which is based upon fanaticism in itself. Buchanan, a Catholic type, fire and brimstone burner. He's not an evangelical as far as I know, but the evangelical part of the Republican Party is very apparent. Those people are there. They were nurtured by Farwell, who is fortunately dead, and various other evangelical types. They have what's called a values summit. Sarah Palin was there when she's not brawling and drunk in Alaska. And they had Canadian Cruz. He was there. But when you have that type of rhetoric, you foster these types of people. They incubated Nolan, no doubt about that. He was a God boy with them. And then he decided to go to Islam. And the man, no doubt, was detached, mentally ill, perhaps, so they'll find that out later in their investigations. But as far as him coordinating anything with anyone else, it is very, very doubtful. But he did show up at a mosque, and of course they will investigate that. But the people at the mosque are moderates. It's the people on the periphery that fall into these various gangs, whether it be the Al-Qaeda gang or some of these other gangs, that have historic grievances, no doubt about that. But the way that they have performed it, and you have to understand that these people, we're talking about the ISIS, or used to be the ISIS, are trained and were trained and being trained by the CIA, a paramilitary operation full of right-wingers like Texas Cruz. So these people, since they're trained by these right-wingers, become right-wingers, and they just transpose that off to the Saudi brand of Islam. And no doubt in many of those, Qatar and United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, there are people there that funnel money to these people. And these people have served the purpose. The Taliban, the students, as they were called, out of Pakistan, were armed and trained by the CIA and the Pakistan intelligence services to take on the Soviets, who were a secular government in Afghanistan. And progress was no doubt made there. Women had their rights. Education was affordable there. And they went on. In fact, the former prime minister in the Soviet era used to walk the streets until the Taliban came and they beheaded him. But the reason for this beheading is the type of training that they received. And now, as it's come, as they say, to the homeland here by these various fanatics. And this was a new fanatic to the scene where you have more of these. No doubt. They see these images on TV. They are already, as they say, engulfed in this particular brand of nuttery. They listen to Pat Buchanan. They listen to these other so-called values summit types. And then they decided, as they say, to switch over. Switching over is very, very easy. Because under these other characters, they have the executions, the same thing as there. They have their various wars where they go and bomb innocent women and children, as they're doing in Syria, doing in Iraq, the Zionists in Palestine, which they support. In other words, it's the same old ball game. We'll go on now to the news conference here. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you on the Monday morning quarterback. Good day. You'll incidentally hear this on a few different titles. This will be on iHeart, but we'll be also on Jerry Pippin's network, and later we will arrive at Blog Talk. I'm talking with Jerry Pippin about a beheading in his home state down by Oklahoma City. What's your thoughts on that, Jerry?
We're talking about a little town called Moore. It's no longer a little town. It's a pretty big suburb of Oklahoma City. And it's interesting that all of these things that are happening that are bizarre, like the beheading, I mean, it just who would have ever dreamed that you'd be talking about somebody walking into somebody else's office and beheading them, especially in Oklahoma. I remember when, this was a clean, living, fellow-loving man. In other words, we loved my fellow man, and now all of a sudden we're killing people, and grossly at that. I don't believe, Boston Red, that they've really found or determined a motive behind it, have they?
No, not as I understand it, Jerry. I think it's like a story you covered a number of years ago. I'm not sure on all the facts, but remember the time the bridge fell down by your area down there?
Yeah, right.
And he never got the true story on why the bridge fell down.
No, we never did.
And I think this is probably one of those situations that this fellow that was involved in it, he lost his job as far as I know. I haven't read the recent reports. I will when I do it for your broadcast. But I'm not really certain that he lost his job. He was an African American. He went out, according to what the rumor or whatever was, to his car, got some knives. It was a packing place. Returned, beheaded a woman, stabbed another person. This off-duty cop was the CEO or whatever there, was able to disarm him, and he's in jail.
Well, has he made a statement or anything about?
No, not as far as I know, Jerry. He hasn't made anything. As far as I know, I'll look it up while we're talking. Tell us a little bit about how you doing there, Jerry, while I look this up. Take me just a minute.
About what now?
How you doing now? I mean, how you're progressing or whatever, while I look this up.
Well, we're not, we take, 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, and, or the vice versa, either way. We're not doing very well at all. As I talk to you tonight, here from the medical facility that I'm in Muskogee, Oklahoma, our hometown, we are facing some unusual things happening to me physically. Every time I eat something, gas forms and doubles you over almost now. That's kind of new. That's been happening off and on for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And nobody really has been able to address it, even though today I was talking to the doctor at the dialysis center, and she said that they thought they had developed and tracked down the right antibiotic to attack this gas problem. Hopefully they will and have. We'll see. This is the second treatment I got today, and we'll be getting more treatments next week. Okay. But we're battling pain pretty hard, and we don't expect it to change, unfortunately. We've been through that a long time. Same story, same dance, remember?
Yes.
We thought we were going to be cured several times, and it just hasn't happened.
Well, it will eventually happen, Jerry. Let me just read this very quickly here. This is dispatch out of Moore, Oklahoma. Philip O'Connor wrote it. He said the man on the 911 call spoke in an urgent voice. Terror is still unfolding around him. Shut the door, shut the door. The man could be heard saying, "What's your emergency?" The dispatcher said, "We have someone attacking someone in the building," the man said. This was at 4:05 on Thursday, a sunny and warm afternoon. And the man's name is Alton Alexander Nolan, 30 years old, ex-con who had been fired from his job just moments before at Virgin Foods, a food processing company located in Moore. Now police say an angry Nolan was taking his vengeance. Nolan stormed out of a human resources office located in a separate building on the southeast side of the property, got in his car, drove a short distance to a processing plant's main warehouse, striking another vehicle along the way. Police said he entered the warehouse. There he encountered Colleen Hupford, a 54-year-old grandmother who last year lost her home in the Moore tornado. A family friend said Hutford had worked in the office at Virgin, I guess, Foods for about 5 years. She was a very kind and forgiving person, friendly, a little shy, but once she got to know you, she'd talk your leg off. That's what a family member said. Nolan, described by authorities as a practicing Muslim who had recently been trying to convert co-workers, stabbed Hertford and then beheaded her. He used a knife that police said he may have used at his job cutting lettuce and vegetables. That's what they did, not a meat processing plant. Next, he turned on another worker, Tracy Johnson, 43, of Oklahoma City, slashing her with the same knife from inside a locked office. The caller tells 911. We can hear lots of screaming. We know he's loose. He has stabbed someone else. Now another employee got on the line telling the 911 operator that the attacker had gone through the front office, shipping office, and customer service department where he'd stabbed one of the workers. By now, 3 minutes had passed on the recording, 911 call. We'll get this in the broadcast. Shortly after that, Nolan stormed out of the Human Resources office. An employee had phoned the on-site office, Mark Vagan, I suppose how you pronounce his name. He's the off-duty police officer and the chief operating officer there. Vagan, an Oklahoma Reserve Deputy Sheriff, sorry about that. They reported this incorrectly, Jerry. Arrived at the main building carrying a rifle. There, Vernon confronted Nolan, then shot and wounded him. Authorities said Vernon quick action saved the lives of Johnson and possibly others. More police responded to what they believed was an active situation. Once they arrived, they found the victim and evacuated the building. And both Johnson and Nolan were taken to the OU Medical Center. Authorities said that their injuries were not life-threatening. And the FBI called, and more police asked the FBI to help investigate the case, including looking into Nolan's background. Moore had the words "Assalamu alaikum," Arabic for peace be unto you, tattooed on his abdomen. He also had Jesus Christ on his chest. So in other words, this fellow is made out, Jerry, once again to be the 2014 Lee Harvey Oswald, a nutcase there. So that's all we have now. We will keep this updated, and by the time it appears on your site, we'll have some other things. As far as we know, Paige Nolan, who's believed to be Anton Nolan's sister, wrote that he's alive and doing well, thanks to all the prayer warriors out there, friends and family. To God be the glory. My brother is alive and just knows that the devil is a lie. Oh, well. So it's spun many different ways, Jerry, all I can say.
Well, it's hard to get the real deal. It appears that religion is being mixed in here, as well as some other elements, race, and a few other things. So I don't know what to make of it. It seems like all the news this day is made up of puzzles. You ask the questions, you get into the gate, and then you get more questions. So,
well, it does seem to me one of these situations now, probably the next thing, we have not heard that he'd been perhaps under the administration of some psychologist, maybe not. But he had been in prison, and he had been out. He had worked at this place, and he was trying to convert people. But he did have the Christian name of this Jesus on his chest, and then he had Assalamu alaikum, which is in Arabic for peace be unto you. So it's a very kind of a mixed up situation. And I just read from his sister; she's evidently a holy roller too. So in other words, you put all these holy rollers in together and roll the dice, and what do you get? Crap. That's about all I can say about that one. It's where he came from, or is this supposed to be, a U.S. attack of the Islamic State? Had he watched them or not? We don't know. But the FBI is working on it, and no doubt if they get any connection at all, that will further alarm the people and set this up. Incidentally, Jerry, there was a very good article by Dennis Kucinich in the Huffington Post where he talks about this Islamic State and what they were up to. Evidently what they were able to do was get hold of some valuable oil wells. And according to Dennis Kucinich, that's what the fight is all about, to get them out of those oil fields so they can get that oil back. And Saudi Arabia and those other right-wing sheikdoms are in there to get the oil back? Because evidently they've been making